Hello? Yeah. The questioning. Hi. I want to talk about kind of like a reflection of the video that I just posted, because I realized what was actually going on. And the solution that was actually helpful, I guess. So I think I was right in identifying my problem was almost slipping into avoiding my emotions, and so the right solution was to feel my feelings before I ignored them and abandoned myself and neglected myself, which was right. That bit I was right about, and I'm glad that I was right about that and did the right thing. Well, tried my best to do the right thing, because if there's one thing I don't want to do, it's continue to rewound myself in that abandonment, neglect kind of place. So that was good. But I remember saying in the video that I was gonna try and do the things that people do in life. And I did. And it worked for a little bit, but I was finding myself at another block of not knowing what I needed. And I was finding myself both in the video and in my life, in living, trying to, I immediately started to try and problem solve, and give myself answers, and I was trying to give myself answers, but I was also asking myself questions. And I think looking back, the best way that I can phrase it was, I was in a situation where I needed to go into my feminine, and I needed to go inside. And it was good for me to do that. It was good for me to connect to myself and connect inwards and see myself. And that was all well and good and fine. But I then was still left with time and a sense that I was lacking something. But not that I individually was lacking something, that life was lacking something. And it was what I can understand and identify now as a lack of connection, but not to self, to life. And I don't often think I find myself there, because more often than not, as an introverted person, I feel overwhelmingly connected to life, so much so that I need to, my solution often lies in coming home and connecting to myself, because I've probably been so external in the world, at work or hanging out with friends, or that's usually what my brain is this is the solution is being with yourself, which is I think why I was feeling frustrated and out of answers, was because my problem looked different and I didn't realize it. Well, my problem changed and I didn't necessarily realize it. I did I did the right thing. I caught myself before I neglected myself. I caught myself before I self-abandoned. And that was like, yes, points to Annabelle. But I think what I didn't completely recognize was that the thing that I was upset about, and the thing that I had like prepared for and was excited for was external connection, and connection to the world, and connection to another, and connection to life. And it is a different sensation, and it's a different connection, because I was searching to be received by the world or somebody else, or I was searching for that back and forth. And this is going to get very energetic talk, but like I had gone inward and connected to myself, so I had internal expansion, and what I hadn't really clocked was what I was needing was external expansion again. And that's why I say it was like, I think I had seen enough of myself, but I was still trying to fulfill this need of external connection, like worldly connection. I was trying to fill it, and I had been trying to fill it by seeing myself in that masculine way of like self-expression, like dancing and singing, and those things felt good, but I still felt this deeper need and this deeper sense of longing and loneliness that I wasn't able to fulfill by just singing myself and just by acting towards myself and acting for myself and giving myself nice moments and feeding myself. And yesterday especially, I just found myself fluctuating between this polarity of like feeling satiated and feeling seen in myself, but then being confused at this longing that was still inside of me, and finding myself in a familiar loop of noticing a sensation inside of myself and trying to fill that sensation with more sensory outputs, like eating, or like moving my body, or trying to give myself a sense of accomplishment, or give myself a sense of expression. Like I was trying to give myself a sensory experience because I was feeling something icky inside of me. And I started overwhelming myself. And it's a puzzle when you, it's not a puzzle, it's chaos. It's its own kind of like, it's not necessarily, I mean, it is, I guess, feminine chaos in a way that you're like feeling and you don't really understand how, why. But you know, when you're just, it's the thing of you just digging yourself a hole and you're getting deeper and deeper and deeper, and I was getting lost in my own cycle of being way too in my masculine. I think like just trying to give myself solutions and solutions and solutions and solutions and solutions because I had identified a problem and I had solved it. And I was feeling another problem and I was trying to give myself the same solution, to be like, okay, maybe you just need to eat. Maybe you need to do something. Maybe you need to continue like nurturing yourself, like continue, because my solution had been nurturing self, and that like brought me to a state of like, nice. But then there was this other problem, which was like, yeah, that lack of connection that I identified. I was trying to give myself the same solution and it wasn't fixing anything. But instead of recognizing that it wasn't fixing anything, I just kept doubling down. And what I'm seeing it in my head now is that like, yeah, like it's that recognizing a feeling. So recognizing that maybe an imbalanced or that the feminine being like, I need something, like I need something. And the masculine just like like my masculine just being like, it's this, and the feminine being like, no, and then just being like, it's this, and it's the same thing, and just being like, it's this, it's this, it's this, and it's like, no, 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 that's not it. And then you just get a tizzy. I was there, but not in a very like chaotic, and like I wasn't very stressed. I kind of just like was meandering through my day and being like, why do I still feel like this? I guess it's fine, not really, but whatever. And what I realized coming outside this morning, which just like opened my eyes up to like everything, was that I was yearning to be connected and received by like something larger than myself and something outside of myself. I wasn't needing or yearning for like connection to myself and to see myself and to feel seen and to like feel accomplished and to feel connected to myself. What I was, as I said, I'd gone inside and expanded, and what I needed was to reflect that and feel received and seen and connected to the world outside of me, which I had identified in my own way in the video before. Like I was excited to be with somebody and to like be doing things and to be outside and like seen in that way. So I had identified that as one of my problems, but just went into like way too harsh of a fix-it mode. And I think kind of like what I was saying was that like I was identifying this sensation of unfulfillment, and my brain kind of thought that the answer to that was more sensation, which I think is like a familiar loop that I think we can all kind of relate to. Is that like when you feel a sense of unease, you think the thing is that's going to fix it is by bringing yourself a sensation of pleasure or bringing yourself into a different state of like sensory awareness, or just to like continue to like, oh, I have a bad feeling, that's just like, or like I have a feeling of unrest or a feeling of uneasy or a feeling of whatever it is, let me just try and like either change it into a different feeling or like cover it with other feelings. And I wish I had just given myself a moment to like sit for a second and understand that like what I was wanting and what I was really searching for was a feeling of peace, and that like peace isn't a sensation that you can give yourself. Like it's not, you can't bring about peace by stimulating yourself. Peace is like the antithesis of stimulation, at least in my brain, and like at least in like my perspective, is that like peace is like the absence of sensation, and peace is like ultimate being and surrender. And I was also seeing myself like, well, no, I wasn't seeing myself in the moment. I also just was reflecting on how I was yesterday and realizing that being in my house also wasn't helping, because I would come outside to do my laundry and I would feel really lovely outside for a few moments and be like, oh, this is so nice, and like seeing Rosie, and I just didn't quite let it click. I didn't quite let it click that like being outside felt nice and being inside felt not nice. It didn't feel bad. What I'm visualizing it is in now is that just like inside my house, I was just also inside my mind, and my energy was trying to go out and be received by something, but it was just like bouncing off the walls and coming back to me. Whereas when you're outside, this is why like mental health walks feel so good, even like, and just why like going outside feels good, is that there's like an innate receptivity in nature. Even if you don't view like trees and plants and the air and the sun as like sentient beings or whatever, like there's still an innate charge to things around you. You know, like you as a person have a positive and negative charge, and so does the rest of the world. But if I'm stuck like in my house alone, just surrounded by inanimacy, inanimate objects, like things that don't contain life, things that don't contain a charge, I'm the only thing buzzing in that house, and then I'm the only thing circulating in myself. And that's all well and good, good if I'm balanced, but if I'm in that state of like, and also if I'm like subconsciously yearning to feel connected to something greater than myself, all I'm connecting to is myself in this state of confusion and in this state of deeper longing that is going unrecognized, and I'm just giving myself that feeling more and more and more and more and more. And I'm grateful because I have Rosie, like she would give me, and then coming outside I would have these moments of like, nice. But yeah, I think I was just so in my head at that point that I was just a bit too confused and I wasn't quite clicked onto it yet. But I remembered this morning that like I've been trying to get myself to come outside to have my like little drink in the morning, just to like be outside and get some sun. And because I want to start this pattern and this routine before winter really sets in, so I can like get some sunshine and be outside. And that's just a good thing. But then what I realized this morning was I feel peace when I'm outside because it feels like my energy goes somewhere. It feels like I go somewhere other than just like in here. And that peace is like a state of release. Peace is that state of what I can only really understand is like, I know I feel connected to myself, and I know what I was needing was that connection to another. And if I'm outside, the world is that other, and the trees are that other, and the grass is that other, and the sun is that other, and the air is that other. And that, I don't know, that could sound very however you think it, but it really is as simple as that. And that is really why people say touch grass. And I need to remind myself that that's a readily available solution that even me, an introvert, needs to look towards. I think, yeah, I kind of sometimes get a little bit too expectant of myself. What's the word? Like, I often feel, like I was saying in the beginning, I often feel way too connected to the world that I need to come and find resolve within myself. But that doesn't mean that I'm immune to the opposite. It doesn't mean that I'm immune to feeling, to tipping on the other end of the scale. And I need to remind myself of that. Otherwise, I get myself into places like I was yesterday and the day before that. And yeah, I don't know. I feel like I just need to share that because it was a blind spot. And like by no means was yesterday like a bad day, because I had my moments and I was trying to mediate. You know, like I was just trying to mediate, but and I guess maybe I'm someone that's also just used to being in their head a lot. So it didn't feel bad, but like it didn't feel like how I feel now. I didn't feel peaceful. I didn't feel like overly anxious. I didn't feel like very negative, but I was just in that constant state of searching. You know, I was just in that state of like, okay, I'm doing this thing, and like I would dance for a little bit and it would feel nice. And then I would sing for a little bit and it would feel nice, and I would give myself food and it would feel nice, and I would journal and it would feel nice, but it would never quite touch the feeling that of longing that it would never quite resolve me. And who knew that an introvert needed the resolution to be external connection to the world and something greater than her? Duh. Well, no, not duh. It took me like a long time to figure that out, actually, so life is constantly throwing things at you. But yeah, I don't know if I really I hope it's clear. It's just so in case like there's any other introverts that find themselves in that place of like, I'm doing everything right. I'm eating well. I'm exploring my creativity. I'm like, like you're making your feminine feel seen in your own little loop, like in the I see myself loop. You're connected, but then in maybe that external, like, I see the world, macrocosm thing. Yeah, it's just maybe not a neural pathway that I've strengthened enough. It's not something that I've embraced. Or maybe it's just not a issue that I've found myself in enough. No, that's not the right word. But I hope you know what I mean. Yeah. I don't know. So maybe that's a thing that you might also relate to. Or if you're feeling a little bit busy inside yourself and like a bit too connected to yourself, do a mental health walk, sit in your garden. If you feel a little bit too inside your home, maybe it is that feeling of just like you bouncing off yourself a little bit too much. And you just need to like release it by being received by something. And if you're not really up to feeling received by another person, just know that like the world will receive you. The trees will receive you. The air will receive you. The ground will receive you. The world is there to receive you. That's what she's there for. Hope that makes sense. Yeah, I'm gonna go for a walk because I have a really lovely playlist that I think would feel great not only to dance to, which I did yesterday, it was good, but it would also just feel great for me to have it in my ears while I'm looking at pretty trees. Oops. So I'm gonna go do that. Yeah. Have a good day. Oh, please don't fall over.